I guess I want to start off by thanking the CSS and our procedures chair for having these discussions on education, which I think are so very important, and I think sometimes fall by the wayside with all the excitement that goes on elsewhere. My name is Will Durocher. I am currently the president of the Waterloo Space Society and captain of our newly established Water Astronaut Training Corps. I also teach, my day job is as a college professor, teaching a very unique program called Community Economic and Social Development. And this is a program that's offered in about 50 different small communities across Northern Ontario. So students log on online and participate in community development projects. So this whole presentation really comes from a course I taught on community organizing. I thought, what can space advocates and space leaders around Canada learn from community organizers who have had a lot of experience organizing, of course, their communities. I've taken a bit of a different approach with my presentation. Instead of just telling you about my project, I'm going to actually give you a short lesson. Okay? This may be new stuff for some of you, but it may be old stuff for other people. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership. I'm going to talk about the strength of a new theory of leadership called invitational leadership, which has recently come out in the literature in the last couple of years. We're going to talk about capacity building. We're going to talk about the training model for capacity building, and I'm going to give you 10 principles for planning and engaging space training. And then I'm going to tell you about my new organization, the Waterloo Astronaut Training Corps. Okay? So the first thing I want to talk about leadership is who has a little principles of leadership card. And I know here at RMC, you guys might have the Army one. Anyone have? Any of the Army guys have? Army ladies too have the principles of leadership card that you get in your basic training. No, nobody has it? Okay. I don't have my Army one, but I have one that I give up to all the people in my organization. My principles of leadership, basic and advanced principles. If anyone wants a copy of that, I'd be happy to send you it and use it at your organizations. Okay. So, you may all have your own idea of what leadership is. You learn different definitions. The whole field of leadership is just filled with different definitions, but this is the one that I like the best. So leadership appears to be the art of getting others to want to do something you are convinced should be done, okay? Which differs from command in the Army, say, where you just order someone to do something and they have to do it, okay? This is the art of getting others to want to do that, okay? Being self-motivated to accomplish your goals as a leader. There are, of course, different theories of leadership, which have been talked about in the literature since, I guess, Maslow and where leadership theory started. I'm going to just briefly touch on these and then tell you about the strengths of invitational leadership. Okay? So there's a trait theory of leadership, which says that you're basically born as a leader. You have certain traits that you inherit. You're just a certain type of person who is a leader. Okay? The next is behavioral theory, which says that leaders should engage in specific behaviors in order to be effective leaders. There's contingency theory, which says that you must adapt your leadership style to the situation. Transactional is theory of leadership that says, I give you something, you give me something in return, so it's very transactional in its nature. I give you your pay, you do the job I'm asking you to do. One of the more newer ones that's come out in the literature is this idea of transformational leadership. And who's heard of transformational leadership before? Okay, a couple people. Transformational leadership is the idea that you, as a leader, are transforming your organization to be more than some of its parts, or you're transforming other people in your organization to be leaders. So you're actually developing new leaders in your organization. Okay? And this new one, which has just come out in the last couple of years in the literature, is invitational leadership. And I'll tell you about that on this slide. So invitational leadership is the idea that I'm doing this, and you're welcome to join me. You, as a leader, are basically going on your journey, you're trying to accomplish your goals, and you're not actively trying to recruit other people who may not be in line with what your vision is, but you're saying, this is what I'm doing, you're welcome to join me. Okay? And this has a lot of different strengths. So, the leader is pursuing a goal and invites others to voluntarily join him or her to accomplish the goal. The follower meets the leader's goal as a condition of his or her success. Okay? So, as the follower goes with the leader, they meet their own goals as well as the leader's goals. Okay? So it's like two people walking in the same direction instead of trying to lead people who want to go every which way. Okay? There's mutual commitment between colleagues instead of orders given down a hierarchy. Okay? So your team is aligned, they want to go in the same direction, and they're going with the leader. It gets people moving in the same direction while achieving leaders' goals, and it builds relationships and a sense of belonging and identity with the organization because of the voluntary nature of accepting an invitation without coercion. Okay? So you're not trying to force someone, you're not trying to persuade someone that something is worthwhile. Someone realizes that this is already worthwhile, and you are just walking with them in the same direction. Okay? This could be a very powerful, especially with training models that I'm going to talk about. So here are some different student-space organization models. You of course have your advocacy models, going out and telling people why space is important. You have research organizations where you're doing research on a specific project. You have project models like our University of Waterloo rover team, building a small Mars rover. You have social organizations which just get together for a beer and talk space once in a while. And then you have training organizations. Okay? And I haven't seen too many other training organizations out there. There are a few. There are clubs that dabble in training, but I think it is one that has sadly been left at the wayside. There is not a lot of training that goes on. There's a lot of maybe discussion about different space program initiatives, but are we really teaching people skills that they can benefit from? Okay? And that's what I want to talk about. So training is a good way for student organizations to bootstrap using their existing resources, okay, to build capacity. And who's heard of this term, building capacity, before? Has anyone heard of that? Okay, quite a few people. Okay, so here is a definition of capacity building that I provided for you. Capacity building is the process of developing and strengthening the skills, instincts, abilities, processes, and resources that organizations and communities need to survive, adapt, and thrive in a fast-changing world. And that is by Anne Thibault, who wrote this book on capacity building in social justice organizations. Like I said, my presentation is based on what space leaders can learn from community organizers. So, going back to this training model, using the training model to build capacity has some advantages over advocacy models. Okay? And I'm not necessarily saying that advocacy models are not something you should pursue. I think that advocacy is absolutely great, but I think that training has been left at the wayside and we don't do enough of it. So here are some strengths that training has. Okay? Members gain value from learning real-world skills in a space context. Okay? So you can learn presentation skills, organizational skills, leadership skills, all of these things. Okay? You don't have to go take a leadership class or go to Toastmasters. You can, in a space context, teach people these skills. Okay? It also has the advantages of it allows for skill and knowledge transfer. So students can teach each other and students can learn more from teaching. Okay? Of course I say that being a teacher. So we got to get away from this idea that you always need an expert in order to provide effective training. It's not true. There is lots of capacity existing in your current organizations, and you can use those people who have maybe an area of expertise to train everyone else in your organization. Okay? Having experts come in is great, but you don't have them always there on a week-to-week basis. Okay? So we're trying to build these skills. And this is what we do in community development projects. We don't always have an expert come in, but we have someone who knows how to put together a resume, and they show other people how to put together a resume. So at a very, very basic level of developing skills within a community. And that's what we call building capacity. Okay, so the question is, how do we build this capacity in our space groups? Well, we use the training model. Okay? We train people, use the existing knowledge that we already have, and spread that around. Okay? Another advantage that training model has is working closely while learning develops high levels of team task and social cohesion. Okay? Task cohesion being how well your group operates together, doing a task, and social cohesion is how well they like each other. Okay? You can have very high levels of task cohesion, say an army unit, okay? And then very low levels of social cohesion if they hate each other when they're done their day's work. Okay? Okay, so some more advantages here are unique training with space enthusiasts can be more rewarding than trying to convince non-space enthusiasts why you need a space program. Okay? It also allows student groups to bootstrap using their existing resources to run exciting training that would not be offered elsewhere in a space context. So some examples are physical fitness training based on the astronaut selection criteria. And finally, another strength is high cohesion groups tend to develop a shared group identity. When people have a shared identity with the group, they are more willing to participate regularly and stay socially engaged.